The full cost of Zepbound costs and Wegovy costs on a GLP-1 weight loss journey. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. And on today's episode, we're going to deep dive into weight loss drugs did not curb health costs within 2 years. But first, I've lost 98 pounds from taking Zepbound and Mounjaro and tirzepatide compound back on Zepbound because of the shortages. And this Reuters article that came out, written by Chad, excuse me, Terhune, I will link it in the description link below, as is all of my sources for today's video, talking about cost. Y'all, my eyes were bugging out because we talk about cost a lot. Why won't our employers cover these medications? Why won't our healthcare cover these medications? Why Medicare is not covering these medications when we know they are life-changing? I mean, for me, just my simple story of losing 98 pounds after 22 months of having done everything and having chronic obesity management my whole life and doing a lot of different things with yo-yo diets, continuous food chatter, to not having those issues, and now to be close to losing over 100 pounds as a result. It's nothing short of a miracle in modern medicine. And so I don't understand why these medications, even as a businesswoman, can't be covered when we know the dramatic health impacts it can have, particularly now that we're seeing for type 2 diabetics, chronic obesity management, but also now for things that are hopefully potentially getting FDA approved for heart disease and sleep apnea and things in the pipeline like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, or there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline, fatty liver disease. And so this article is talking about costs rose 46% over 2 years for patients trying GLP-1 for obesity. Obesity treatments did not reduce other medical health care costs, the data shows. I'm going to put my dukes up and fight this information a little bit from the sources, because I've seen these talking about like that alone, obesity treatment did not reduce the other medical cost, data show. The math isn't mathing for me. And so Reuters, I'm coming at this article because I don't agree with it. And I think that it's interesting. Only 1 in 4 patients were still on Wegovy and Ozempic 2 years later. The full cost for drugs like Wegovy may trim your waistline, but not medical costs, says U.S. healthcare insurance claim shared with Reuters. The full cost of healthcare for a U.S. patient with obesity for 2 years after starting Novo Nordisk's Wegovy or similar GLP-1 drugs, like other similar drugs, $18,507 on average. That represents a 46% jump in over the average annual medical cost of $12,695 prior to taking this medication. Data provided by the Pharmacy Benefits Managers Prime Therapeutics show. We're taking deep breaths as we go through this information. The cost for a similar, because I think it's important we as patients know this information and be armed with facts as we walk through this, because there's a lot of misinformation. And it's one of the things why I do a daily show on this, is to talk about it and to cite reputable sources so we can have the information to be armed with going back to our health insurance companies and our employers and all these other avenues too, about why these costs for me. I mean, I just, the math isn't mathing of, okay, the cost increased short term, but long term, my health is better. And I like reducing things like heart attacks, sleep apnea. Somebody having a heart attack, that cost you're not going to benefit in here. And after like a decade of taking these medications, like this is where I'm like, it incenses me. Let me keep going. Okay. The cost for similar controlled group of patients not taking the drugs grew 14% in the same period. Among other GLP-1 patients, prescription drug costs have drove most of the spending increase, but medical costs also climbed in that 2-year period. Over the 2-year period, analysis found no, quote, no such reduction in obesity-related medical events, such as heart attacks, strokes, diagnoses of type 2 diabetes, or other prescription drugs for hypertension, high cholesterol compared to the control group. Okay, my testimony here is I have high blood pressure, and I'm reducing my high blood pressure medication. I'll probably come off of it here soon. But I'm on 22 months. And this is where I'm like, okay, you're not going to stop a heart attack within 2 years. Like it's a miracle drug, but it's not that much of a miracle drug. It is going to have a reduction in those events, but it's going to take more than a hot second. That's why this 2-year period, I'm like, okay, maybe let's do a 5-year period, or let's take the analysis out a little bit further, which is why all these trials on the back end, and you can see my other videos talking about those. But Novo Nordisk and rival Eli Lilly, which makes the GLP-1 medication Zepbound, have repeated billions of dollars in profits since their new drugs hit the market, with estimated 100 million patients with obesity having used them. They say their medicines will yield savings for society by alleviating many other health-linked and excess weight loss. The budget here is frightening for a lot of governments and private entities, such as an economist with American Enterprise Institute. Is what makes these drugs different is the sheer size of potential demand. Some analysis have said weight loss drug market could reach $150 billion in a year in the next decade. We know treatment of obesity is linked to better medical outcomes. Even bureaucrats haven't even figured out how to account for these savings. So it's not fully conclusive. And this is where I want to say, it is not fully conclusive. I disagree with these results completely. And tell me in the comments, sound off. I want to hear, because I know you guys always have a lot better thoughts than I do for certain things, and I really want to hear this. But it says Prime Therapeutics reviewed pharmacy and medical claims of data for 3,046 people with commercial health plans that cover GLP-1 medications. They received new GLP-1 prescriptions between January and December of 2021 and had diagnosis of obesity or BMI of 30 or higher. In the analysis, 46% of patients were taking Novo Nordisk's Ozempic and Wegovy, which are semaglutides, and others were taking older Novo Nordisk drugs like Saxenda and Victoza, which are the liraglutides, and Ribellus, the oral version of semaglutide. By the way, there is no oral version of tirzepatide. If you're seeing that going around the internet, that is fake. That is a scam. Same thing with retatrutide. That is not on the market. That is fake. That is scam. I saw people were saying it in my comments, and I immediately reported them to YouTube. I'm like, that's not true, and block them. So hopefully you won't see future comments like that on here, because there is no oral version of tirzepatide. It's the oral version of semaglutide, which is I'm going to mispronounce that. It's Rybelsus, Rybelsus. Forgive me. And Eli Lilly's Trulicity, which is a dulaglutide, not a tirzepatide. Researchers did not track long-term use of Eli Lilly's newer drugs like Mounjaro and Zepbound, both being tirzepatide, which launched after the study had already started. So Prime excluded patients with diabetes diagnosis in their medical claims who are using the drug for type 2 diabetes, for which these medicines were originally developed. And the average age was 46 and 81% were female. So it's saying in here, only one in 4 patients prescribed taking Ozempic and Wegovy for weight loss were still taking these medications 2 years later, which Reuters had reported back in July. So, which we know, 1 in 4, that's not great odds at all. Not great odds at all. And so one of you had raised a really good point on that too, because I'm fascinated why people stop taking the medication. And we know why, for a majority of the cost, the shortages. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons on there. And someone also was saying that, and I appreciated their point there about quick fixes. People got the quick fix and then getting off. And I hadn't thought necessarily about that part of it too. So if that was you who commented that, thank you. I appreciated it. Maybe I really was thinking about that on my walk the other day. I digress. Let's go back to the information. The company estimates that fewer than 20% of members have coverage for weight loss drugs. Prime says it's supportive of clients' decision to cover these GLP-1s in combination with lifestyle modification programs. And one of the things that I have modified with my lifestyle is working out and changing my eating habits. Eli Lilly, the manufacturer of Zepbound and Mounjaro, tells us we do need to change those things beyond GLP-1 medications. There's GLP-1 medications. And for me, working out has been huge. I highly recommend, for if you're just starting GLP-1 medications, obviously to talk to your doctor before taking anything, but I love LMNT electrolytes. They have powder format, and then they also have sparkling electrolyte waters. I'm obsessed with it. It's so good because it helped me at the beginning with my side effects. I bought these because I knew FBI sharpshooters and professional athletes and elite professional athletes were taking these, and people who I really trusted. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy them and I'm going to try them. I love them, and I love the way it helped with my side effects with Mounjaro and Zepbound and tirzepatide. And so I highly recommend them. They've worked really well for me over the last 22 months. Yeah, I don't do a lot of things consistently, but for the last 22 months on my weight loss, it has been a game changer for me. It's something I take pretty much daily. For sure, the day before shot day, and the day after, for sure. But now with my workouts, it's morphed into taking these with my workouts. It's magnesium, potassium, and sodium, which is in the electrolyte. And the cans are great. I love, in car pickup line, I always have one picking up my son, be bopping around Virginia here, because it's so easy to have and I can keep it cold that way. But I love the packets. They do now have the chocolate medley packets. Those are linked down below. I love putting those in hot beverages. I typically use about a stick of the chocolate one in my coffee. I'll have like my regular coffee in the morning, but around like midday afternoon, I am going to have it actually after I film this video. I'm going to make my profie out of it. You can make it with iced, I'll make that with iced espresso with a third of a stick of the LMNT chocolate, mix it with my frother. It tastes so good. And you guys know, you guys tell me in my free encouragement group, you're like, you're right, it is so good. I'm like, I know, but it has that magnesium, potassium, and sodium. So it's supporting my workouts. It's supporting my weight training. And also for me, particularly for my side effects, which I have leg cramps, fatigue, like that Zepbound fatigue is real. And this is very, very helpful for me. And so they've been very generous to the Countess of Shopping community, giving us 8 free sticks with any purchase. DrinkElement.com/queen, QUEEN. Go ahead and take advantage of those savings to get your 8 free sticks. I love them. The chocolate medley is delicious. But I also love these. I will do 1 full stick in my 40-ounce tumblers, which I have switched over. I've been trying, and I'm really liking Brewmate's ones because they don't spill. Have you guys seen these? They have them for coffee mugs too. I'll link them down in the description link below. And of course, linking down the LMNT electrolyte, the 8 free sticks with any purchase, that Queen, QUEEN, take advantage of it. But making these lifestyle modifications, super, super important as well. Prime, the Prime Therapeutics, who's analyzing this data, is owned by 19 US Blue Cross and Blue Shield healthcare insurance plans and manages pharmacy benefits for 38 million people. So if you start pulling back the layer, this is why I say sources are so important. And this is why this was crazy to me. So this information is basically from Blue Cross Blue Shield. You have that as your healthcare provider. Talking about the healthcare plans, 19 of them. And there's different ones, like there's Virginia one, like there's different ones, different plans of those. So just because you're on one Blue Cross Blue Shield plan that may have coverage, another one may not, to clarify. But the company estimates that fewer than 20% of members have coverage for weight loss drugs. There's a lot of confusing data out there. That to me was one of the most profound things. I'm like, yeah, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'm looking at you. Let me put my glasses back on. I'm looking at you, Blue Cross Blue Shield, looking at you for the coverage. The company estimates Valerie Smith, she's an associate professor of population sciences at Duke University, said her research into bariatric surgery also found that no reduction in medical costs, even when weight loss was maintained for many years in relationship to bariatric surgery. However, she said this analysis may mask potential savings among specific groups of patients, people with severe obesity and multiple chronic conditions. Y'all, I just have a really hard time with this data. I really do. The math isn't mathing to me. I just don't understand how, for me, I know that it will be a reduction in cost over the course of my life. It is going to prevent a heart attack for me. It's going to prevent all of these gnarly diseases. We haven't even touched the iceberg with cancer. We know that, cancer is not in a good environment when it has a ton of sugar. Y'all, I ate so much sugar and things like just bad food choices. And so now changing my diet to high protein and nutrient dense foods, how can that not, like, just using critical brain thoughts? Got my thinking cap on, for goodness sakes. How can that not make a change in healthcare costs? Like, just preventing a major heart attack or I just don't agree with this data at all. I don't see, and it is another justification for me for people to be like, oh, that's why we're not like Blue Cross Blue Shield. Put my glasses on, I'm looking at you. Another justification for health insurance companies not to cover these drugs. I sound like I'm ranting. I need to take it down a notch. She needs to breathe, queen, breathe. But it really makes me so angry. The high cost of these drugs, which I get as a business owner, I understand. I don't like it, but I understand it. Because it excludes, like, I'm an inclusive person. I don't like to exclude people. So the high cost of it it surely has to have a ripple effect with our healthcare costs. To me, that just, again, it just doesn't make sense. It's like saying that the sky's not blue. It's like saying that the earth is not round. Like, it is. Like, these things just are. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So anyways, this article, again, I'll link it down below and you can reference it, but I find it fascinating. And that we get to the punchline of it is that the group that is doing this study is owned by Blue Cross Blue Shield, 19 of them. So of course they're going to say that it's not lowering costs because the healthcare company is the one that's funding it. Behind the name Prime Therapeutics. I wish that was at the beginning of the article. So if you stayed this long on the thing, you're gonna, people who bailed out earlier on the video are gonna miss that important piece of this. Like, that to me is like the hinge pin of it, is that this news article in Reuters is being put out about weight loss drugs don't curb healthcare costs within 2 years. If you're headline reading and not reading at the very end of the article of who was funding this analysis, you're not gonna know it was funded by a healthcare company. And a healthcare company, like, do we not think that that's odd? Am I the only one that thinks that's a little bit suspect? Of course they're going to say that it's not helping costs, because then it's going to justify them not covering it for all of us, which is true. Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of them, it's been fascinating to see who does not cover these medications. They're on the wrong side of history with all of this stuff, because they are changing. So, I mean, the data doesn't lie. The science doesn't lie of how helpful these medications are. Y'all, I've been a guinea pig now for 22 months. I mean, check back in with me if I have 5 heads in a couple of years. Don't worry, I'll still be here on the internet somewhere, I'm sure. Do I have 5 heads 5 years from now? I mean, I don't see how this lifestyle change, and I'm doing things I could never do before. And I'm sure health insurance companies don't care that I'm able to ride horses and roller coaster ride and be the best possible mom I can be and the best possible wife, because I'm not exhausted from being morbidly obese and not able to move because there's so much excess weight, and not wanting to be that lifestyle, but forced into being that lifestyle because I could not stop eating. It was HE double hockey sticks. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Literally 23 months ago, before I started this medication, it was so depressing and awful, knowing it was Groundhog's Day of, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to eat all this food. I'm not going to eat all this food. And then boom, at nighttime doing it every day during the pandemic. For years. Was it years? I'm confused on my dates. I'm horrible with dates. Horrible. The time frame that it was awful. It really stopped. It was awful. And so now to be able to be like, no, I do have control over my food. I do have control over working out. I do have control over this stuff. It's my choice to be able to do these now, simply because of GLP-1 deficiency. For me, I say that's inconclusive. I don't have a testing to know if I was GLP-1 deficient, but how could I possibly not be deficient? Like, that is, I'm taking a GLP-1 medication. So I would assume that I am deficient in it before, because it's fixed this whole, I mean, it's fixed a lot of stuff for me. Y'all, I get passionate about that. I need to take it down a notch. Sorry if I was ranting. Ugh! One of those crazy people that are like, but I'm so passionate about this because it's justifying not covering these medications, and eventually a break is going to come with these medications. And being an early adapter, I've been an early adapter my whole life. I mean, with a lot of different things over and over and over and over and over again. And people call me cuckoo bird. And I'm like, no, I know this is right. Nobody else knows it's right, but I know it's right early because of the pattern recognition of what I'm seeing on it. For me, that eventually this will come around. I do believe that. Eventually it will. It's just we got to hang tight and be patient, friends. And it's hard to be patient. It really is hard to be patient. In the interim, what I can do, things I can control and things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference, the things that I can change today are what am I going to eat? What am I going to work out? I'm going to work out after this. I'm also going to have my electrolyte. I am so excited to have my LMNT electrolyte. I'm going to have the chocolate medley in my coffee. It's so good. And I only use a third a stick of that one. But for like these, I'll use a 40-ouncer, baby. And many of you guys had asked, how many do I take? I usually have 1 a day. Sometimes I don't have any. Sometimes I'll have 2. It kind of just depends, but they are sodium, magnesium, and potassium. It's delicious. The magnesium, that whole combination helps my leg cramps. Tomorrow, Duke has a huge soccer tournament. His favorite is the watermelon sticks. Guess what we'll give him before the soccer tournament? These. Tonight we'll give him one, and tomorrow. I love this that much that I give it to my kid. And my kid, I would take a bullet for. I would do a lot of things for my kid. and I do a lot of things for my kid, but the reason, like feeding him the most nutritious, best food I possibly can and giving him the best, that's why I give him this. That's why, like my husband and I don't give him, like, there's other ones that have like blue dyes and stuff. There's not that. I appreciate that in there. So we love LMNT, and I love these too. Did you guys see my organization? Oh, I didn't bring a picture. It's in my refrigerator. I got one of those like in a bodega, how they have like the or like a sheets or something like that. They have where your drinks organizers and they contain. I got one of those for my refrigerator to organize my element electrolyte. Let me know if you guys want to see what it looks like. I'll show you guys. It looks so good. Make sure you run over to drinkelement.com/queen. Our emoji of the day is going to be, what is our emoji of the day going to be? We're going to make it a heart. We need more hearts. We need more love in this world. More love, more kindness, more grace, more compassion. And as we're rounding, this is the season for me of the next 2 weeks of my daughter's anniversary of her passing is November 15th. So I am saying this at the end of my videos for the next like week or so. Just please give me extra grace, kindness, and compassion. If you see a mean comment down below, like right now, I'm just super. It's a tender time for me. It's where I grieve every year. I grieve this time of year for my daughter, and we're getting ready to put up my daughter's Christmas tree and be in that season for me. And so I just ask extra grace, extra kindness, extra compassion. If you see a not nice comment, report it. And if you're in my free encouragement group, if you see not nice comments there too, just report it. Again, keeping things calm for me right now is protecting myself too. And so I ask that right now of loving, kind, nice comments, particularly as I walk through the next 2 weeks. It's hard for me. It is. That's me being fully authentic and honest. And grieving doesn't stop. Like, even though it's been years, it doesn't stop for me. And so I'm saying that to right now. I don't like being super crazy vulnerable on the internet. Although I have talked about poop before with Zepbound. I'm trying to make a joke out of it, but me being vulnerable about this particular topic, there's some things that are really sensitive, and that's a really sensitive topic for me. So I appreciate your grace. And I love you guys a lot. So I'm going to start crying, so I'm going to stop this video. Thank you guys so super much. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Your accountability question, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goal? And our emoji of the day helps me to know that you made it to this part of the video. So the emoji of the day is a heart. And it also, I will pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought. It's like our bat signal. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Love you. See you tomorrow.